Hey guys, welcome back to the Cleaver Podcast. We're your hosts, Michael Weaver,
And Josh Clow.
and we are here for episode 2. So let's just get right into it with a Week 8 recap. Start out with the Thursday night game, Houston beating Miami 42 to 23. Deshaun Watson had a pretty big game, 5 touchdowns, uh, just
Yeah,
went off.
16 for 20. That's completed 80% or more right there, and more touchdowns than incompletions.
Yeah,
Uh, he evaded almost all sacks in the game. He actually didn't get sacked once, which is surprising for having a very bad offensive line.
yeah.
But yeah,
Give the man praise. He had a great game. Next up, we got Eagles took down the Jaguars 24 to 18.
and that was a London game. Both teams probably weren't ready for the time changes. Definitely we weren't. It was 6:30 a.m. game. We didn't
Yeah,
watch that.
yeah, West Coast time.
But yeah, Eagles prevailed. Can't blame that loss on Blake Bortles though. I mean, he played his heart out. Led the team in rushing yards. The next best person was Carlos Hyde, I think, at like 11 yards. So they got to find a rushing game in that.
Yeah, fortunately, the Jaguars have Leonard Fournette coming back after their bye. That's the plan anyway. Next up, we got Panthers taking out the Ravens 36-21. Cam Newton had a big game. Bears beat the Jets 24 to 10. Bengals won a close one against the Bucks, who tried to come back but
Yeah,
couldn't quite finish
and they
it.
tried to come back with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Lit up that offense
Yeah,
after 4 picks from Jameis Winston.
yeah. Somehow the Bucks were able to put up 34 points, but if you throw one of your QBs to those 4 picks, you're probably going to lose that game, and they did, unfortunately. We had the Seahawks beating the Lions 28-14. Russell Wilson, Chris Carson both had great games. Chiefs beat the Broncos 30 to 27, moved to 7-1 on the year. Redskins beat the Giants 2013. Steelers 33 to 18 over the Browns, who fired their head coach and offensive coordinator. So we'll have to see how that goes down the road. Colts dismantled the Raiders 42 to 28.
Definitely after the Raiders were leading 28 to 21, and then fourth quarter hit.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the dud of the week, Cardinals 18, 49ers 15. Probably the best game of the week, Rams 29, Packers 27, although the Packers had a chance to potentially give Aaron Rodgers the ball at the end of the game, but costly fumble allowed the Rams to get the ball back and take the lead. Saints beat the Vikings 30 to 20, and then the Patriots on Monday night moved to 6-2, beating the Bills 25 to 6. So got the Adam Vinatieri record. Dude's been going at it for a while. 22 years he's been playing.
22 years, 2 different teams, has a couple rings. Finally broke the other record, most points ever scored. Big year for this dude, breaking 2 records. I think he said that he's not going to retire this year. I hope he doesn't. I think next year the Colts could be a team to be reckoned with, and he is definitely a key piece for that for next season. So, Adam Vinatieri, keep icing that leg.
Yeah, 45 years young, still going strong. So we're at week 9 right now.
We're at the good mid season point.
Yeah.
Most teams have played in 7 to 8 games. You kind of see where the teams are leading up right now. You have teams that are undefeated still. You got teams at 4-4. You got teams at 3-5. They might still have a chance for the playoffs if they can win out. So, but what about what about awards? There's this is a good time to start looking at who's going to win this MVP. Kind of have an idea on who might get the offensive player, the rookies and all that. So,
Yeah.
what's your take, Mike?
Let's just start off with the MVP. For me, I got Patrick Mahomes, the young gunslinger in Kansas City, surrounded by a lot of weapons, but he's got it going on. He's got, he's got Sammy Watkins, Tariq Hill, Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, sorry, um, and Sammy Watkins. He's got a lot of weapons, and he's just putting up big numbers, leading the league in passing, on pace for a ton of touchdowns. Just reminded me of a Brett Favre, just less interceptions.
Yeah, I got Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is probably going to be hitting career highs this year. He already has 15 total touchdowns through 8 games. He's averaging 2 a game, and we still got 8 more games. He has 800 rushing yards, 350 receiving yards. Those are pretty solid stats at midseason. If you're going to go on pace, he's going to get 1,600 rushing yards, 700 receiving yards, and then probably 30 total touchdowns for the on pace, which probably be one of the most touchdown wise for a running back since Damian Thomas, back when he did 27 rushing touchdowns. So I don't remember how many receiving touchdowns he had that year, but
I think he had 3 or 4. He had 31 total that year.
yeah. So I think Todd Gurley, he's definitely a guy deserving. I know that the Rams still has a couple games that they have to win. The Chiefs come in town. They get the Eagles later on. So
Those are the games that
they need to rely on the Todd Gurley. Definitely teams that they can rush the passer and break up the run game.
Yeah. Offensive player. Who you got for your offensive player?
There's only one dude out there, and that's Adam Thielen. 8 straight 100-yard games. He leads the league in yards and receptions. 72 receptions. He's averaging like 9-10 receptions a game. This guy's balling. Him and Kirk Cousins has a really good chemistry, and he's also competing against Kyle Rudolph, Stephon Diggs, and Treadwell, and then between Murray and then Devin Cook whenever he's in and out. So he's making the most of what he can, and I don't see him slowing down the second half of the season. Definitely with how close that division is. Every game matters, so every target matters for him.
Yeah, for mine, I don't have to talk too long on mine, because for the NFC, I got Todd Gurley, and you just said everything that we need to know about Todd Gurley. Just like on a team full of weapons, he is the weapon. He's the go-to guy, touchdown machine. It's Todd Gurley. AFC, I also already talked about him. Patrick Mahomes, just going off, having a great season, leading the Kansas City Chiefs' potent offense. For defensive player, I got Aaron Donald. I think we both have Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I have Aaron Donald too. He already has 10 sacks in the season. Halfway through the season, his career high is 11. So odds are he's gonna break that. He also has, I think when I saw, he has like 13, 14 tackles for losses, which is I think his second best season for tackle for losses already. He's breaking career highs on that. He is a force to be reckoned with. Definitely, next to Namakusu for the defensive tackles. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up to 18 to 20 sacks for at the end of the season. He is the true playmaker on the Rams team. If he doesn't play well, the Rams defenses are going to play well. So I believe that the defensive player of the year should go to Aaron Donald this year. Well deserved.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for the AFC side, this is also going into my defensive rookie of the year. We got Leonard up in Indianapolis, just putting up big numbers, leading the entire NFL with 88 tackles. He's got 4 sacks. He's putting on a show quietly in Indianapolis, just doing his thing.
Yeah, I saw him for defensive rookie of the year. 88 tackles, 4 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. I think he has an interception This guy's balling. It is a lost year for the Colts, but it's not a lost year for him. The Colts has a lot of young guys coming up. Don't be surprised they draft another defensive guy next year, first round. This is a team that could be a very good defense. And on the flip side, with the defensive guy on the offensive, rookie of the year, there could be a toss up between Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley, but I think I'm gonna give it to Saquon Barkley. He's the go-to guy for Eli Manning minus the Odell Beckham. He's about like averaging like 100 yards a game until coming up against the Redskins. We only have 33, but he is have over 100 yards from scrimmage. I think every game or
Yeah.
almost every game.
Yeah.
So this guy's well deserving for that. He is a very key part for the Giants team, who has not had a run game in quite a long time.
Yeah. I feel like once the Giants get a good offensive line, Saquon Barkley's just he's gonna take it to the next level, and he's already one of the best offensive weapons. Just the Giants just need to make more room for him, so he can hit the holes and hit them hard like he can. And I also have him as my offensive rookie of the year, just going off. Like I said, one of the best players in the league. Sky is the limit for him. He can just go off whenever he wants to.
Yeah, coach of the year. There's only one dude that deserve it. Sean McVay. You're 8-0 right now. The next best person probably would be Andy Reid, with the Patrick Mahomes thing. Trading off Alex Smith for Patrick Mahomes. But I think that bringing all these trades and draft picks in last year, and then the free agent signings with Sam Shields and Namaku Suh, Sean McVay is probably the most deserving.
Yeah, the Rams just went all in. They're Super Bowl or bust, and they're capitalizing on the opportunity that they have this year. Just best team in the league, led by a coach who's not letting them sit out any weeks.
And he's only 32 years old,
Yeah.
33.
Yeah. So that's the only pick for coach of the year right now.
Yeah, and then comeback player of the year. I think Adrian Peterson's probably the most deserving. I mean, last year wasn't a big, good year for him. He started off with the Saints, got traded for the Cardinals. I think he had 200-yard games with the Cardinals, and then he kind of fell off through. There's injury plague on the Cardinals, and so yeah, he's bounced back this year. Almost 600 yards rushing. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. He has 5 total touchdowns, has 151 receiving yards. So he is a pretty good free agent signing for the Redskins, who lost their rookie running back, I think, for a torn ACL in preseason. But I wouldn't sleep on Adrian Peterson, and I don't think that this will be his last year. I know he's 31, 32 years old, but he is definitely balling, and we'll go back to that later when we talk about the Redskins. But Adrian Peterson probably deserves that the most.
Yeah, he's definitely a gamble the Redskins took that's paying off big time for him. So let's just trade deadline was yesterday, a couple days ago.
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday, yeah. So I mean, who do you think is the biggest winner from the trade deadline?
Winner, I think, is going to be the Redskins. Picking up Ha Clinton Dix was probably was probably one of the most biggest surprise, because I didn't think the Packers would get rid of him for a team that is a defense away from a championship. But the Redskins already has a very fantastic defense. They lead the league in rush defense already. Ha Clinton Dix definitely boostings up the secondary in that team. He is on par and pace of the stats he had when he was an All-Pro back in 2016 or 2017, whatever year he did it. So this is a very good pickup for the Redskins, who's definitely at 5-2 right now. And I think they have a 2-game lead from the actually a game and a half from the Eagles right now. So very good pickup.
Yeah, I would agree. That's a big pickup for the for the Redskins and a surprising pick drop off for the Packers. I think the Texans also got made themselves better. They lost Will Fuller to a torn ACL for the season, their number 2, so they went out and picked up Demarius Thomas, and a draft pick for a couple of draft picks, mid round and a 7th, I believe. And like they just went out and snatched him from Denver, and he is gonna slot into that number 2 opposite of DeAndre Hopkins, and Deshaun Watson just picked himself up a brand new weapon, uh, big receiver. He's got some speed. Just didn't work well with the new Denver offense, so we'll see how it works out in Houston. I think it's gonna work out, pay off big time for him.
And I think the trade that really doesn't make sense for any of us right now is the Golden Tate trade.
Yeah.
I know why the Lions traded him away. You got Galladay, up and coming. I would have traded Marvin Jones instead of Golden Tate. But the other thing I don't understand is, you're giving it to the Eagles, who already have a very good offense and whatnot. I know they got him for for the outside wide receiver. He's a very good deep threat. He's also a very good slot receiver. So this is a very big push for the Eagles, who are in a win now. You're trying to go back to the championship. Obviously, there's a roadblock with the Redskins at 5-2. You still got to play them, win the division. So I think he is a good pickup for the Eagles, but it also will, Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar, they're going to lose some targets in that. But three very good wide receivers on that team.
Yeah, and they needed that boost. They're Super Bowl champions from last year. They're below expectations right now, so they need that boost to pick themselves up and keep pace with the Redskins in that AFC East division.
There is one thing you should look out for. Brandon Marshall is officially on waivers wire. 3 teams I'd be on a watch for to pick him up: Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and I think the Washington Redskins. All 3 teams are still in the playoff race. All 3 teams really do need another wide receiver on the team. So I wouldn't be surprised if a week or two Brandon Marshall finds a new team in one of those 3 teams.
Yeah, he's still a big target, good receiver, got some veteran experience. So that would be a pretty good pickup for any team. Let's see. We got week 9 coming up. We got some big games. Starting off tonight with a not so big game. Raiders, 49ers, 2-13 combined record. Who do you think is going to win in this game?
I think it's going to be the Raiders. This is obviously the games of where we're not going to the playoffs. There's nothing for us. We'll see how the younger guys are. We'll see, probably new play skills or play calling and whatnot. Trying new things and whatnot. That is a game to do. Definitely on prime time. You want to show the world. We only have 1 win or 2 wins, but we got promise in the future. So watch both teams try to outduel each other in some creative ways. Definitely with John Gruden and Kyle Shanahan. Offensive dudes.
Yeah, I got 49ers. They're young and they're hungry. Looking to rebound from a close loss to the Cardinals last week. So I look for the 49ers to come out on top in this one. For Sunday, starting off, we got a rivalry, long-time rivalry, Steelers-Ravens. Who you got in this one?
I got the Steelers. Steelers are making their comeback. Usually happens a lot. They'll start off slow like the Patriots, and then they'll come back. Offense are finally getting things going. They just had a bye week. They're well rested. The Ravens, started the season 4-1. Now they're what?
4-4.
They're 4-4. So Joe Flacco has not been playing up to the way that they thought he was in the last couple of weeks. I know that Lamar Jackson came in and actually started throwing the ball a little bit against the Panthers last week. So there is problems going on with that offense, which have always been a problem. in recent years. Justin Tucker usually comes in and saves the day, but last week Justin Tucker didn't get any field goals, so you can't win if you can't even get your offense to field goal range.
Yeah. Yeah, I look for the Ravens to take this one. They have Steelers have a pretty good offense with Big Ben and Antonio Brown, but you got Ravens have still have a good defense. They're playing at home, so the Ravens I think will win a close one. Probably going to come down to that leg of Justin Tucker. Oh, we got Bears going up to Buffalo. I'm gonna look for the Bears to win this one.
Yeah, I got the Bears too. I think Buffalo did a great job against Patriots for the first 3 quarters. Definitely held it to a field goal game at halftime. They're a very good defense team, but I don't think Derek Anderson could actually play up to the Bears defense standards. He's still trying to get his groove in. He's coming out of retirement and whatnot, but you can't do what you did against the Patriots and throw a costly pick six to end the game. So I got the Bears in this one.
Yeah, we got Buccaneers going to Carolina, taking on the Panthers. I'm gonna look for the Buccaneers to take this one with Jameis Winston being benched after throwing 4 picks last week. Ryan Fitzpatrick gonna come out, throw some more huge bombs to his big wide receivers, and Buccaneers are gonna win this one on big plays.
Yeah, I got the Buccaneers too. Buccaneers are 3-4 right now. They're still in the playoff race. They got little margin of error right now, but I think Ryan Fitzpatrick really expands that offense. We're definitely with the deep ball. You got Mike Evans, who's I want to say either second or third right now in the league in passing yards. You got not Vincent, Deshaun Jackson, who is he's probably the best deep threat the team has, and then you can't forget about O.J. Howard. Yeah, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, balls out, 13 touchdowns to 5 interceptions this season already, and he's completing 68% of his passes.
He's really only had one bad game all year. Next up, we got Chiefs against the Browns. Pretty clear choice in my eyes. Chiefs, as the Browns are going through a transition, and the Chiefs are just one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs too. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. You got a coaching change or whatnot, and why I got the Chiefs winning is because you have a defensive guy leading the team now, not an offensive guy. Baker Mayfield hasn't really worked with this dude. Would this be a shootout? It possibly could. I would give credit that the Browns defense is a lot better than people think they is. So don't be surprised if Patrick Mahomes struggles in the game and the Browns keep it close.
We got Jets going to Miami. I got the Dolphins winning this one, beating the Jets down at home.
Yeah, I got the Dolphins too. This is a you win or go home type game. Dolphins are 4-4. They're actually 1-4 in the last 5 games. Beat the Jets back in week 2, but they gave up almost a comeback to Sam Darnold. This is in Miami. Miami's been pretty good at home in recent years, but like I said, this is a go big or go home type game for the Dolphins. They can't drop this game.
Yeah, and the Jets, if they lose, they're going to be 3-6. They're going to be out of it. Lions going to Minneapolis, playing the Vikings. I'm going to take the Vikings in this one. Coming off a loss, and they need to come back. They'll beat the Lions at home. Like we talked earlier, you got Kirk Cousins and Adam Thielen. They got a connection going, and then if that doesn't work, you got Stephon Diggs, and you got a potent offense with a still solid defense in Minnesota.
Yeah, I got the Vikings too, and I think the Vikings are pretty upset about last week's loss to the Saints. No one saw the Saints' defense performing like that, so I expect the Vikings to really come out angry. They're also home against a division rival. This is also a big, win big or go home for the Lions because you do not want to fall 3-5 on the season. But with the Vikings trying to compete against the Bears, who leads the division, and the Packers, I think this is the game that they win.
Yeah, a lot rides in that division with that game. Falcons going to Washington. I got the Redskins taking this one. We just talked about it. Their defense got a lot better with Clinton Dix. You still got that offense. Adrian Peterson's going off. I think the Redskins are going to take this one.
I got the Falcons. The Falcons' offense. We already know what their offense is. They're a pretty good offense, and very few times we've seen the Falcons demolish a top five defense. We can go against the Saints and the Panthers, and they've Julio Jones going off. And if that's the case, I don't think the Redskins have the best offense in the league. I mean, even though Adrian Peterson is playing very well, look at their wide receivers. They don't have big name wide receivers, and Alex Smith is a very careful quarterback. So I don't he doesn't make a lot of big plays like he used to. So Falcons will top the Redskins. Falcons trying to make this wild card push.
Yep, we got Texans playing the Broncos. Demaryius Thomas doesn't have to go very far in his first game with Houston, as he pretty much can stay right at home in Denver. I got the Broncos taking down the Texans this week. Texans have a good team. They're on a good streak right now, but the Broncos, I see them winning this one at home against Texans and an old foe.
I have the Broncos too. This is in Denver, and you also got to realize Deshaun Watson still has a punctured lung, and you're going into Denver, a high altitude. This is not a good game for Deshaun Watson, and definitely against that defensive team. It's still a very good defensive team, and Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
So Broncos will top the Texans. They'll lose the 5-game winning streak.
Next up, we got the last 3 games are all 3 pretty good games. We got Chargers traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. This is a pretty good matchup, but I got the Seahawks in this one. Finding their identity on in the run game, and even though he's not throwing a lot, you still got Russell Wilson, who's one of the top QBs in the league. Phillip Rivers is good, but Seahawks have the edge on defense in this one, and they're at home. And we all know that home field advantage in Seattle, so I got the Seahawks winning a close one against the Chargers.
I got the Chargers. Chargers offense is electrifying. This is the time where Phillip Rivers does start to fall off, but Melvin Gordon is Melvin Gordon. If Melvin Gordon plays, the Charger wins. If he doesn't, the Seahawks win.
We got, in my opinion, the game of the week. We got Rams playing the Saints in New Orleans. It's going to be a good game, but the Rams are going to win this one. You got Drew Brees on the other side, but you got Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp if he plays. You got a lot of weapons on that Rams team, and their defense is just, Aaron Donald. You got a solid defense. I got the Rams winning this one.
I have the Saints. I was talking to some people. I think the Packers and the Saints were the only 2 teams that actually will give the Rams a problem at their first loss. The Saints has proven at 6-1. Their defense has gotten better. Their offense is electrifying. This is going to be the same thing that happened last week against Green Bay. It's going to come down to the quarterback. It's going to come down to probably the final play. If Drew Brees has the ball in the final play or the final drive, I give it to the Saints.
All right, Sunday night game, we got Packers at the Patriots. This is a toss-up. I could see it going both ways. 2 best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion. Tom Brady's still balling out. Aaron Rodgers still recovering from that Week 1 injury, but he's balling out. I think I got the Patriots winning this one though. Packers, surprising that they would get rid of Clinton Dix. I'm looking for Tom Brady to exploit that. And the Patriots are really good at exploiting stuff like that. So the Patriots are going to win this one at home.
I got the Packers. You got to look at their record. They're 3-1. You lose against the Patriots, you fall with a losing record, under 500. You don't want that against a very contested division. This is only the second time Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have gone head to head. Aaron Rodgers won the last time, but I think the Packers win. This is playoff or bust game right here. You do not want to fall 2 to 3 games behind against the Vikings and or the Bears. So we'll see how that game goes. Good Sunday night football game.
Yeah, Monday night we got Titans in Arlington playing the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning this one. Titans are not as good as people thought they would be. Same with the Cowboys, but the Cowboys still got Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and now Amari Cooper on offense. Cowboys are going to win this one.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys too. They're just a better team than the Titans. Titans lost their identity. They have a very decent defense, but the defense has fallen apart in recent weeks. So, Cowboys has the edge.
Yeah, so that's our predictions for Week 9. Teams on the bye this week, we got Bengals, Colts, Jags, Cardinals, Eagles, and Giants. Let's move on to fantasy pickups for the week. Who do you think would be a good pickup for fantasy this week?
I got Rashad Matthews. He got picked up last week with the Jets. The Jets are dealing with some injuries on the offensive side. You're going against Miami's defense, who's given up a lot of points and yards to cornerbacks, to wide receivers, past couple weeks. So I expect a big game again with Rashad Matthews, who was drafted from Miami a couple years ago, 7th-round pick. So this is a redemption game. He didn't log a single catch when he was with the Titans against this game. But I think you have a better quarterback at Sam Darnold, who's a gunslinger, than Marcus Mariota. So, yeah, I give it to Rashard Matthews. Don't be surprised if he picks up 5 catches, probably have 70 to 80 yards, could have a touchdown.
My guy to pick up, I would pick up David Moore, Seahawks wide receiver. I saw something on him the other day. More NFL.com leagues have Dez Bryant on a team than David Moore. And Dez Bryant does not have a team in the NFL right now. So if you're looking for a sleeper, you got David Moore. He's put up a touchdown in each of his last 3 games. Put up big yards last week. He's the number 3 wide receiver, so keep that in mind. But he's one of Russell Wilson's favorite red zone targets. So keep that in mind.
So let's talk about something that we've been seeing around the NFL lately with the Giants team. They're 1-7 right now, but Odell Beckham's been called out by plenty of people. He's called out a lot of people also, but he's definitely been called out by the ownership of the Giants. Mara said that they want to see more highlights on the field than he does outside the field, and I think that Odell has risen from the dead. I think that he's finally finding his groove. Again, he has 4 games this season with over 100 yards, 61 receptions, 765 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also has a passing touchdown for 51 yards. I think he's finally found his groove. He's 4th right now of receiving yards in the league right now, and he's not that far behind from Adam Thielen in receptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Odell Beckham is having a good season coming back. I think having people having to cover Shepard on the other side, and then you also got Saquon Barkley taking some of the touches. It opens up more space for Odell Beckham, just giving him more opportunities. Even though it just helps that he's not the only weapon in that Giants offense, is what I'm trying to say. Because for a couple years it was Odell Beckham. Much like in Detroit for all those years, you just had to worry about Megatron. You had multiple guys covering him. Now you got Odell Beckham, you got Shepard, and you got Saquon Barkley. You got to worry about in that offense.
And then Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram at
for the
tight end too.
So I expect I see a lot of more touchdowns than Odell in the second half of the season. It's a lost season for the Giants, but it doesn't have to be a lost season for Odell. I think Odell, he's one of the highest paid wide receivers in the league right now. Signed that 5-year, $90 million contract. In my opinion, I think he's a top 5 wide receiver. He's played like one since his rookie year. we don't know. This is going to be Eli's last year, but Eli wants to push to give him a reason why that he should play next year. Odell's the guy that makes him look better, so Odell's the guy would keep Eli Manning's job.
Yeah. Let's also talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick taking over the starting job in Tampa Bay. Real quick, just the Bucks are a better team with Ryan Fitzpatrick at QB. They tried with Jameis Winston, but they're 0-2 with Jameis Winston. Just had a dud of a game last week. They bring Ryan Fitzpatrick in and they almost come back. So
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick started the season because Jameis Winston had the 3-game suspension. Ryan Fitzpatrick balled out, started the season 2-1. I think he was like second in the league with passing yards, whatnot, and with touchdowns, a good touchdown and interception rate right now too. But coming back in against the Bengals and actually almost coming out on top of a win, almost forced the game to overtime. Whatnot, after being down by 2 scores, coming into the fourth quarter. Ryan Fitzpatrick just, he's electrifying the offense to more of the potential it has than Jameis Winston. This is, I think the Bucks are still in the playoff race. They're not that too far behind for the wild card, but it is time to start winning games. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the best option to winning games. So I wouldn't be, if I was if I'm the head coach of the Bucks, I'd ride with Fitzpatrick for the rest of the season, trade off Jameis Winston at the end of the year, and start looking for a rookie quarterback, but still leaning on Ryan Fitzpatrick. He had that good year with the Jets a couple years ago. He's a good 1-year type guy, and this is the 1 year. So,
yeah, you ride into the end or just give up on the year.
Yeah, and if you look at his stats, he has 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Most of that interceptions came against the Bears. That very bad game.
Just that one bad game he had.
He's throwing 68% of his passes at 98 to 144.
Yeah, he's been a very efficient passer this
that
year.
Is very high, and he has 1,550 yards for just playing about 4.5 games. So
he's a big play quarterback. And when you have weapons like Mike Evans and Deshaun Jackson on the outside, you always have the potential for a big play. So before we close out, we just want to quickly touch on this Alabama-LSU game, probably the biggest game by far of the college football season. So what are your thoughts on that game?
So this is number 1 Alabama against number 3 LSU. LSU's making a comeback after they lost a couple weeks ago. This game is very important to both teams for the reason of the conference and the division. The winner of this game could win the division to go to the SEC championship. We're nearing the end of the college year. With really 3 to 4 games left of the season. I think this game comes down to which quarterback will play better. If you want to be real here, Tua Tagovailoa, 25 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The guy's been on fire. He's on fire while hurt against the LSU's quarterback Burrow, who only has 6 passing touchdowns this season. And you can run on this team all you want, but Alabama rush defense is very good. Their whole defense is very good. They're saying this is probably Nick Saban's best year. If LSU wants to beat Alabama, you have to beat them at the quarterback. You have to outplay Tua Tagovailoa, and you also, something that no team can't do this year, you have to win the turnover game, which, like I said, Tua Tagovailoa has not have an interception this season through 7-8 games. So if you can't convert the turnover, this is Alabama's game from the get-go. If you can, get some turnovers without you converting turnovers, this game could. Tua might play in the fourth quarter for the first time this year. So there's a lot to look into this game. There's also a lot to look into the playoffs. LSU is definitely going to take on the number 1 spot if they win. Granted, if the number 2 team, Clemson wins. This Alabama is the best team in the league. They deserve number 1. Alabama shouldn't fall too far down because you lose to number 3.
Yeah.
So,
Alabama will still be in the top 5.
Yeah, Alabama will probably take the number 3 spot. Still be ahead of Notre Dame. If not, they'll take number 4. But Alabama does have an easy end of the schedule minus Auburn.
Yeah. But Auburn is not as good as people thought they would be.
No, but the Iron Bowl is still the Iron Bowl.
Yeah.
So
it's still going to be a great game no matter where each team is ranked. This is going to be a defensive battle. It always is between these two teams, and it's at Death Valley. So
yeah, the previous couple of years it came down to field goals because the games comes only to field goals. Yeah. So, but I think Nick Saban outcoaches the new coach for LSU.
Yeah.
Just like most new coaches does against Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Alabama goes to 9-0.
Yeah. And much like Alabama wouldn't drop too far, LSU won't drop too far if they lose. They'll still be a probably top 7 team if they lose.
Yeah, if LSU lose though, I don't see them making the playoffs. No playoff team goes in with 2 losses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game to watch this week. Very close game as it always is between these two teams, but Alabama's just the best team in the league, and you prove that by going into the toughest environments against the best teams, and I feel like they're going to prove that this week. So that'll conclude week 2 of our podcast. Thank you for checking it out, and we'll be back next week with more recaps and more thoughts for you guys. So thank you so much for your support and for clicking on this video.
Yep, we'll be back next Thursday. And, just like Mike said, we appreciate all the support that you guys have given us. With that, I'll see you guys next Thursday.